COVID-19 vaccination that
Yeah,
is starting to make way into our communities. Can you go into detail on that?
yeah. So that's a big, big game changers, vaccinations. We've known that since the beginning. It'd be great to have a vaccine for this. And we're getting close, closer than, frankly, any of us thought at this stage. The development of vaccines went really quite quickly at warp speed, really, right? Like it's like the program states. The good news is yeah, the FDA is meeting today to look at emergency use authorization for one of the first vaccine with Pfizer as the company that would release that. I think Moderna is the other vaccine that's right on the next in line. And then literally, I don't know, I heard at one time 20, 30, 40 some different vaccines that are being developed worldwide and being implemented. So I think both the Pfizer product and the Moderna product will probably be the first available in the US and in this location. We're hoping within a matter of days to weeks, and we'll see how that goes. The the interesting thing about the vaccine is it's being developed and manufactured simultaneously, and that's what has sped up the process. Typically, vaccines are researched, tested, and developed, and then the whole process of approval, and then the whole process of manufacture and production develops. And really, they've been doing a lot of this just simultaneously. And most importantly, the manufacture and production of the supply. And that was really what Project Warp Speed did, is basically ensure the companies that are producing the vaccines to say, you know what, we're going to buy the vaccine whether it gets approved or not, whether it works or not. And that gave them a little bit of a cushion to be able to say, okay, we'll go ahead with this. And we're pretty confident we can make a vaccine that works, it's safe. And if you're going to help protect us, we'll go ahead and produce it so that as soon as it's approved, it's ready to go. And that's what's going to make it available very quickly.
That's great. And I know that people maybe have concerns about the safety of the vaccination, even though it's been rushed. And I know you touched on that a little bit, but how do we know it's safe? I mean, what are some things that could give our community a little bit of reassurance that the vaccination has been through proper protocol and is safe for distribution in this way?
Yeah, so I think the key there is the reason that it was rushed has more to do with production of a supply of the vaccine than it did the testing. Now, there's no doubt that there was a lot of emphasis, a lot of workforce, a lot of people just working day and night to get this done. But the steps that are taken to get the testing done really were standard protocol for testing. And it's been developed in the fashion that many vaccines have been developed. So it's a process of developing vaccines that's well known. So the process to develop it, the process for testing, all was well known prior to the pandemic. So then they produce a vaccine that's going through the normal process, albeit quickly. And certainly no time wasted and no delays in terms of, just, hey, it's time to take a break. Let's get back to this after the holidays type break. But it's been tested. I just know that they've given it to thousands of people and really make sure that it's safe. Now, the FDA will look at this. The FDA is well respected worldwide. There's another organization called ACIP that looks at this safety data as well. So that's all been done. And then just know that as it rolls out, there's just lots of tools and mechanisms in place to monitor the safety of this vaccine. So this will have more attention than any vaccine has, both in terms of its development and its safety and its monitoring for safety as time goes on. So I just, nothing's going to slip through on this one. You can just tell.
Yeah, and it sure has the public eye on it as
Right,
well.
right.
So, you know, as it becomes coming out here in the final stages and the distribution, how will that vaccination be allocated in a rural community like Pierre and Fort Pierre? And do you know a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this in South Dakota, the Department of Health, the South Dakota Department of Health will really be the one that receives the vaccine for our state. And some states are doing it differently. The South Dakota Department of Health has decided that they will utilize the health systems in our state, Avera, Sanford, Monument out on the west side, and other health systems within our state to help receive and distribute and vaccinate our South Dakota population. So Avera is a big part of that. And so we will be we're coordinating with the Department of Health, like all the other health systems in our state, on when we'll get it, what we'll get, what the allotments will be. And certainly the first shipments will be small and will be targeted towards those, what we call Tier 1A candidates, our frontline healthcare workers, our nursing home staff, our nursing home residents probably, and really those people that are working with COVID patients in the ICU, on the medical floors, in the emergency rooms. And that includes, ambulance people and other people that are out on the front lines as well, dealing with patients that have COVID. So it'll be, I think, a little bit of a slow start in the sense that we probably won't have thousands of doses here in Pierre. We'll probably have hundreds. And we do have a team locally working on that. We have a team within the Avera system, including physicians, pharmacists, nurses, infectious disease experts, really looking at, how are we going to do that? What teams do we need? Where are we going to do it? And so forth. So we're really all ready to start it. I think we even have where we're doing it, who's doing what, getting people identified. You're going to be in Tier 1A. I need you to come in at this time, at this day, or that sort of thing. So we're really moving towards that with the idea that we don't know exactly what day yet because we haven't gotten the vaccine. And of course, today's the day that they're looking at reviewing for emergency use. So we think in the next several days, this will start to roll out. We know that their first shipment will end up in Sioux Falls and Rapid City for the health systems to distribute. They're going to work hard on those units, particularly in those large tertiary care hospitals where we have not 10 or 20 patients, but literally hundreds of patients with COVID getting treated by healthcare workers. So I know they're going to focus first on some of that stuff, and then they'll be rolling it out. And we're hoping that it's more of a weekly shipment of vaccine. And so I think it'll change daily. And today's Thursday, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. It's a big day tomorrow, and we'll just see how it goes.
Absolutely, that's great. So when the couple of vaccines that have made the most headway and will be released first, are those treatments, are they single dose or are they multiple doses? How does that look?
Yeah, both the Pfizer and Moderna product will be 2-shot doses. They're both made in the same way. It's a method called messenger RNA technology. And by the way, that has nothing to do with your genetic material. So when we get the vaccine, it doesn't interact with our DNA at all. But it's a vaccine that you get one shot, and then 20 to 30 days later, depending on the vaccine, you get your second shot. And so that'll be important to make sure we track people and get them scheduled for their second dose when they get their first dose. So it is logistically going to be a little complicated, but we'll get it done.
Absolutely. And it's a good thing that everybody's had a chance to start using those portals, those different communication techniques to stay on top of those second appointments, those second doses. So what are the side effects that they're seeing as they're testing these vaccinations and as they're rolling them out?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think a lot of people are worried about what is it going to do, right? And the good news is it seems to be very effective, over 90% effective, which is actually quite good for a vaccine. And part of that is it's using technology that's very specific. We know exactly what virus we're developing a vaccine for, and so the effectiveness of this is going to be very good. Now that means that how vaccines work is it creates your body. It causes your body to create an immune response so that if you ever come in contact with the actual virus, you'll have the immunity to fight it off without getting sick or significantly sick. So in that process, you can get a little bit of redness and soreness where they give the shot, and that's not uncommon. You get that with almost any shot. You can take a needle and put water or saline in it and stick it in your arm. It can cause a little redness and swelling, but certainly vaccines can cause a little more, and certainly any other medication can. And when your immune system is reacting to it, it can make you feel a little fluish for a day or two. You get a little headache, maybe a little tired, maybe run a little bit of a low-grade fever. So that would not be uncommon at all. Some muscle aches and that sort of thing. And so we expect that, and we expect that in a fair number of people that get it, just like we do with our flu shot and most other shots that we give. So I think that's to be expected. I think as you see thousands and thousands of people vaccinated, you're going to see an occasional allergic reaction. I think something already came out in Britain where they vaccinated hundreds of thousands of people and had a couple people that had allergic reactions. These people had prior history of allergic reactions. They actually were people that carried EpiPens with them in case they got an allergic reaction. So I think you're going to have people that do have that. So we just have to be prepared for that. And when we see that, treat it. Fortunately, the safety of it so far has been very, very good. There's been very few significant reactions, if any, really. It's all these mild reactions that I'm talking about. And so longer term, we'll just have to monitor it and watch it. The interesting, like the portal technology, there are going to be apps that you can put on your smart device and track your symptoms. It'll kind of tell you when you're due for your second shot and that sort of thing. So there's going to be some technology that's kind of new with this vaccine as well, which I think will be great. I think we'll collect more data. And like I said earlier, there's not anything that's going to slip through the cracks, because I would tell you normally when you vaccinate hundreds of thousands of people and a couple people have an allergic type response, they were treated and did fine, didn't get hospitalized. And that normally wouldn't make world news, right? But this time it did. I think you're going to have just lots of attention on this vaccine, and we're going to have a lot of data. So we'll just have to see how it all goes.
Absolutely. Well, it just, when you said all of that, it really makes me feel fortunate to live in a community that has such responsive and qualified healthcare providers. So thank you for maintaining such a great institution in our community. What about if you've had COVID-19? Do you need a vaccination? I mean, how does that all work for those folks who have had it?
Yeah, again, this is one of those questions that we'll probably learn more about it as time goes on. Right now, we're not testing people to see if you've had COVID before you get the vaccine. So inevitably, we'll vaccinate people that have had COVID because they didn't know they had it, right? And they didn't get tested. So there's no evidence that causes any harm. It triggers your immune system, and frankly, is probably a good thing. I make it an analogy to chickenpox, right? So a lot of us had chickenpox as we were kids. Shingles, as you know, is a reactivation of the chickenpox. And now we do a vaccine for shingles/chickenpox. And even though we've had chickenpox maybe as a kid, we still get vaccinated for shingles. So similarly, I think if you've had COVID, you can get vaccinated for COVID. And we're advising our staff to get vaccinated, whether you've had it or not. I think the question is, if you've had it recently, do you need to get your shot? Like, do you need to be at the front of the line of the tier 1 people getting it? You probably could hang back, maybe get it a little later, because we do know that there's some immunity from having had the infection. So if you know you've had it, you've had a test that's positive, a PCR test that's positive, you've had that maybe in the last 60 to 90 days, You probably don't need to rush to get the vaccine because you probably do have a little bit of immunity. We still have no idea how long that immunity lasts. And we ultimately are recommending that you get vaccinated.